Hi, Liz.
Hi.
How was your weekend?
It was good. It was okay. How
Yeah,
was yours?
it was pretty good. The weather was nice. That's always a plus.
Yes.
Okay, so you remember last week how we kind of discussed the difference between fear and anxiety, and how fear is like a sensation you have in the moment, whereas anxiety is more worry about the future. And then
Okay.
I gave you that assignment to go over discussing to monitor your anxiety to kind of come up with different examples. Can you tell me what you came up with in the sheet, the situations and whatnot?
Well, the I came up with one a situation, but I noticed it's kind of like it's anytime I have to do a task. So I put down the situation as paperwork, but I notice it's whether it's like if I have a lot of laundry or if I have a lot of um, if I wanted to work out, if I have any kind of thing that I want to do that requires planning or requires concentration, that tends to make me anxious, and I want to avoid it.
How do you know you are getting anxious? What are some bodily sensations that you experience in these times?
I just have like a funny feeling in my chest, and I just feel like fidgety, um, and I just putz around and do stuff that's not really accomplishing anything, but I might just walk around and do stuff or graze. I tend to eat.
Good, good. Well, it seems like you are very much aware of your emotions and what sets them off. That is fantastic. That's the first step, is becoming aware and our triggers. Then the next step, which will be another assignment I would like you to do for the following week when we meet again next week, is that I want you to monitor your anxiety. I kind of want you to write down the dates and times, what you're doing, what you're experiencing, and then your urge, your feelings on a scale of 0 to 100, how much you want to avoid doing it, and whether or not you actually do go through with avoiding it or accomplishing that task. Do you think you'd be capable of monitoring these things? Um,
Sure, sure.
awesome. I'll show you the sheet and we'll go over it again before the session is over.
Okay.
And then, so a big part of anxiety, as you already seem to be aware of, is avoidance. Many people, would rather push something off because it's uncomfortable than actually going through with and actually finishing it. Um, and then, as it goes, you just pile things on, and it's like, all right, well, I had this one piece of paperwork to do, and because you pushed it back, now it's the end of the week, and you're like, oh, now I have 5 big reports due all at one time, and that just heightens the anxiety.
Right.
So avoiding never solves the problem. Um, and one way to avoid avoidance is, first of all, accepting your feelings, which it seems like you already have. You're very aware of them, and then being willing to change. And one way to do that is to become more mindful. You've taken that first step. You're aware of your triggers, and you're aware of how that makes you feel, and you're aware that you tend to avoid them. So good for you. I'm very glad that that wasn't too difficult. Some people just say, I don't know, I just feel anxious all the time, and it's very difficult for them to hone it in on certain things. But you seem to be very aware of yourself, which is fantastic. So some examples of being mindful is to kind of focus on one thing at a time. And I know that can be very difficult, especially in your line of work. You're constantly thinking about the next phone call you have, the next visit you have to go to, what ideas, what lessons are you going to have with the next kid? Is this person going to have a question? How do I help this coworker? When am I going to get the call from that district, from this service provider?
Right.
It's all over the place. I understand that. But it is important to kind of just focus on what you're doing right then and there. All right, I have this, I'm going to this kid's house next. And so you focus on getting prepared for that next visit, and then focusing on, oh yes, I also have to make this phone call. You just kind of have to lay it out one step at a time. And then, of course, the most difficult one, trying to not judge yourself. Everyone does this. Ugh, I didn't do that report yesterday. What is wrong with me? I can't believe I pushed it off. I'm so lazy. Sound right?
The voice in my head.
Right. and then you just, you feel worse about yourself, and then you just ruminate over these thoughts, and again, don't get anything done in the process, and that's never good. So instead of doing that, focus on where you are right then in that moment again, and be like, all right, well, I didn't do it yesterday, but I have time now, or I have to make time now, and, forget about the past and just focus on what needs to be done then and now. And then, of course, do what works. I'm sure you've got some kind of, a few coping skills that have worked in the past and what you're comfortable with. And don't think like, oh my gosh, I have to change my entire life in order to, renovate myself and become a whole new person. It's like, if you have something that works, continue with doing it, And then finally, for this session, I would like to go over some skills to become more mindful, to be able to achieve those things we just discussed. So if you wouldn't mind being a part of a quick little activity.
Sure.
Okay, I'd like you to, you could just get in a relaxed position and close your eyes. All right. Try to pay attention to all the sounds around you. Pay attention to the crickets outside, the humming of the lamp, your breathing. Just focus on the cars coming around the corner. Try to listen to everything that you can.
As if on cue, a car came around the corner.
Now, focus on your sensations of sitting. How does the cushion feel under you? How do your feet feel against the floor? How does your posture feel? Now open your eyes. Focus on the things you see. The centerpiece with all the flowers, the chair over there with all the pillows, the picture on the wall, all the different colors, all the different pieces of furniture in the room, the contrast with the carpet. Just focus on that and nothing else. Do you feel a little more relaxed?
I actually do. It's kind of weird. I do.
Yeah, well, that's a simple exercise that you can do at home, in your car, at the office, wherever you are. If you just need a moment's peace, find a space where no one else is. Shut yourself in your bedroom, in the bathroom if you have to, and just take, about 5-10 minutes to focus on your sensations and your surroundings. And it's a very good way to ground yourself and to, get those negative thoughts out of your head.
Just like interrupt the thoughts.
Absolutely. You start thinking about, I have all this paperwork to do, I have this to do, I have all these chores to do, the house is a mess, my husband's coming home, and then, just take a second to breathe and be like, okay, what's right in front of me? And then, you can't focus on what's in your immediate, right in front of you, and those other things you have to do all at once. Your brain can't, as many people think, you can't multitask like that.
Right.
Okay, so another thing, anxiety never will completely go away. It's always going to creep up. There's always going to be, you might get better at feeling less anxious about paperwork, but then something else is going to come up, and those sensations will be back. Distress is just a way of life, but there are ways to build up your tolerance to distress. Another little exercise I would like you to try, if you are so willing to. Think of something that makes you super anxious. Be paperwork, laundry,
cleaning my basement.
There you go. All right, if you could close your eyes, think about how terrifying that is for you and how anxious that makes you. Think about the sensations, think about your husband, your kids, people telling you, all right, you got it, this is something you have to do. Think about all those things that feel. Now, tense up your fists, tense up your body. Think about how awful that makes you feel. Tense it up. And then slowly release. Release your fists. Relax your legs and your chest and your arms and your posture. Put your palms up in an accepting manner.
This is making me anxious. Putting my palms up.
Okay, you don't have to do that. Do whatever. Go into a pose where you feel most relaxed. And think about it being done. Think about the basement being all cleared out.
Oh, that does sound good.
Now, does it feel as scary to possibly begin this task?
Maybe if I had help. It's a big basement.
Very fair. That's one thing to do. You focus on the tense feelings of it or whatever, and then you kind of just like, got something I gotta do, and then it's over. Those feelings don't last forever. You gotta just, realize, when it's done,
It's
all right, it's over. And the only way to get to that feeling is to do it. Just go through it.
I like that. I like that tagline, this feeling, this won't last forever.
Absolutely. So, like I said before, I'd like you to just continue to monitor your anxiety. The time, the date, what triggers the trigger of the anxiety, how you're feeling in that moment, and then your urge on a 0 to 100 scale, how much you want to avoid it, and then whether or not you actually avoid it or go through with it regardless of the anxiety. You think you'd be willing to do so?
I think so, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to our next session together, and I hope you
too.
have a great week.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.